Hi, this is Stacey from The Advisor, and welcome everybody to our show. Today I'm very excited because we have Tassos Kotzias, and he is here today. He's a holistic coach, and he is here today to share some great information. He wants to talk about how to say no, and he wants to go really in depth about this. He works with people, he helps people with work-life balance, dealing with stress and how to live life in a healthy manner overall. So he's going to tell us a little about himself right now and what he does. And he's going to go right into his topic of choice, which is how to say no. So it's a pleasure to have you on the show, Tassos. Tell us a little about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, thank you, Stacey. I appreciate also your warm welcome and the intro. Right. So, and I'm also excited, to be here with you and being able, to dive into this challenging issue, right, of how to say no and why we say yes and not no. And yeah, let's dive deeper into this topic right away. But before that, since you just asked me, so I'm Greek. I'm of Greek origin, right? This is where I was born and I was raised. And then I'm just living the last 10 years now in Qatar with a family. And I'm a holistic coach. I'm a certified holistic coach with the International Coaching Federation in the US, actually, right? So I'm now my heart and mind and passionate about holistic coaching and how to really support and people, to be the best version of themselves, basically, through the holistic approach, basically,
Right.
which is the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. So
Yes.
we are addressing all of these different four levels of awareness and well-being through the holistic coaching cooperation. We're working close with clients.
It's so very important because people, sometimes don't realize, but the mind, the body, and the spirit are all connected. And in order to really to be able to function properly and to be able to function to our true potential, we really have to be in line with ourselves. And we have to have a clear focus, clarity. We have to understand ourselves as a person and what our wants are, what our needs are. And we really have to understand what our body needs. And a lot of times when it comes to saying no, a lot of people feel they're worried that someone may reject them if they say no, or they worry that, it's just hard for them because they just don't have the inner strength to say no. They're scared, they're fearful of it. And a lot of times, if you push yourself to do things you really don't want to do, you're actually causing internal stress on yourself, which can, and in turn, can cause other problems. Now, what's your intake about saying no? What do you see a lot in your clients when they do things that they really don't want to do? What makes them not uh, be able to say no, and what happens when they keep going with the flow and they keep saying yes, 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 but deep down inside they really don't want to.
Yeah, first of all, just while we you discussing, you just said about going with the flow. Unfortunately, I have to tell you that when you are under this kind of stressful situation, like where you cannot say no and you say yes to everything, you're not in a flow. You're really stressed. You're really stressed, and you're really completely not aligned with your true values and with your authentic self and with who you want to be and what you want to achieve anyway, right? But coming back to your original question about what triggers them, basically, because we're discussing about triggers here. So one trigger, big trigger, for example, is the guilt, because they feel guilty if they, for example, they feel guilty when they are taking care of themselves.
Yes.
So when I'm taking care of myself only, or when I'm not giving, because I grew up with a belief, for example, that I needed to be always a giver and only a giver,
Yeah.
and putting myself as a second or a third priority, and always give first priority to others, to my family, to my dad, to my mom, to my peers, my colleagues, whatever.
Yes.
Then, because I was grown up with this belief, I cannot do different. I cannot understand how to take care of myself. I cannot be self-aware about
Yeah.
that, and then I don't do anything about So and if I do take care of myself, then I feel guilty
Right.
of doing that. So guilt is a big trigger. Another trigger is the fear that you mentioned, fear of rejection, fear of receiving pushback from the others,
Mm-hmm.
the fear of resistance, for example, from the others,
Yeah.
fear that they may not be accepted, because acceptance is a big issue as well in our society, unfortunately, which
Right.
starts with the self-acceptance first. First, we need to correct our self-acceptance, and then be able to get appreciation from the others. But this is another topic that we can explore. Okay. And then, of course, sometimes the trigger can be perfectionism, because again, also from the way we got our let's say our childhood years, how we got treated by our parents, or by our teachers, whatever. We learn that the only way is to be perfect,
Yes.
and this is another big trigger, for the not being able to say no. Because
Right.
in our lives, when we want to be perfect, when we need to be, if we feel that we need to be perfect, we try to do all things at a perfect way in every detail. Maybe we hesitate in our decisions. Maybe we always want to do what others request from us,
Yes.
because we think that only if we provide something perfect back to them, this is
Right.
the only way for them, to be happy or be happy with us and accept us, etc. Of course, another trigger could be fear of judgment.
Right.
Fear of judgment, same thing. If I don't deliver something, if I don't adhere to the requests or the demands
Yes.
or the needs of someone else, then I'm afraid that, oh, maybe they will judge me. Maybe they will say, oh, okay, Tassos, is not a professional. Tassos is not a good husband. Tassos is not a good friend, because of this, because he's not really attending our needs, and he's not really, following up with a request or whatever. So these are main triggers
Right.
that really causes a lot of problems and a lot of challenges to many people on how to say no.
How does somebody learn how not to be a so-called people pleaser? Because when you're a people pleaser, you're always trying to please everybody else, say yes to everything, and the last person you take care of really is yourself. And how do you get out of that bad habit? What are some of the steps that you can take to
There,
actually turn around?
Thank you for the question. There are two ways. You either do it reactively or you do it proactively. So if you do it reactively, it means that you are in a very deep in the rabbit hole, right? And you have really stressed out yourself. You're really burnt out. You're in the
Hmm.
margin. You're in the verge of, let's say, of depression or something, or really, really in a very low level in your psychology, emotionally, and mentally. And
Yeah.
then you realize that you need to change that,
Hmm.
right? So this is the reactive approach. The proactive approach is to start thinking and start discussing with some people that you trust, starting realizing by yourself with your own self-awareness, that yes, I need to change something. This cannot go on, because if this goes on, I will get sick, I will get mentally sick, I will get emotional sick, or whatever it could be. So proactively, it's always a bit easier. I think, at least, I think that's by my experience. I think it's a
Yeah.
bit easier, right? Because it's better in every aspect of life. It's better to be proactive instead of reactive, right?
Right.
If we want to have balance,
Yes.
right? Because I'm a big ambassador, as you know, of the work-life balance because of the holistic coaching, etc. So it's better to be proactive, because in that case we can really design, we can think, we can plan, we can make our plan, we can get educated in the issue. We
Yes.
can get the support from a coach, from a mentor, from a friend. It doesn't matter, from someone that we trust and can be really objective to us, and not just a friend,
Yeah.
that we are getting sometimes wrong information or wrong direction or wrong
Yes.
advice,
Right.
right? So it's better to be objective there as much as possible, and then we can design our moves,
Right.
and then we can slowly start the change. We can slowly start changing the way we communicate.
Yes.
We can start being more and more assertive and more firm in our communication. We can slowly start in saying no to small things
Right.
and then to bigger things, So we need, like a conditioning, I would say, like a training.
Yeah.
In a way, it's like many things in life. So this would be my answer here. Proactively and reactively. If
Right.
we put this into our heads very nicely and very well, then we can judge, we can decide how we want to take this further.
Do you feel like a lot of times when people have a tendency to be afraid to say no, that it reverts back to their childhood years or any type of trauma in their life that turned their personality around where they no longer felt confident enough to say no, and then revert to the fear of rejection or the fear of saying no? Does it revert back a lot of
Yes,
times?
of course, it reverts back a lot of times, like many other things, like,
Mhm.
like many other things, right? It's either
Yes,
from our mothers or from our fathers, right? Or
exactly.
from school, or because of the society, because someone grew up even in a small society where there were few people, around him. So this is what they knew. Even our parents, it's different generations. This is what they knew back then. We
Yes,
should not blame them. We should not accuse them or anything. This is what they knew, and
yes,
this is what they were trying to do, hopefully for the best. Of
right.
course, we are talking about the positive cases,
Yes.
right? Because there are very, very some negative and some really or violent, even violent environments. But of course, there are these internalized messages that we have received when we were young, we were children, we were kids, that maybe sometime now, even now, maybe we're not aware of, or
Right.
maybe we cannot even remember, we cannot
Yeah.
even externalize because these are so much rooted, so deep
Yeah.
that it's sometimes very difficult, to take them out. So that's why we need a process, a step-by-step process to be able to become self-aware around them and try to tackle them accordingly. And the societal expectations, of course, right? The second big trigger there of what the society and what the people around us are expecting from us. Yeah. So it could be all the way to a trauma,
Hmm.
but also it could be also a little bit softer.
Right. And when it happens where people need to really move forward in life, do you do any type of therapy with them, trying to um, strengthen their self-worth or their self-esteem? Does a lot of people have low self-esteem and and low self-worth? Is that also related to this issue?
It's 100% related. A very good question. It's 100% related to the self-worth, right? And what we believe about ourselves, whether we are capable to do something, whether we are capable to stand up, whether we are capable, to express our needs, our desires, our ambitions, our dreams, right? Because unfortunately, this is a big factor of keeping us from really expressing and communicating assertively what we need, what we desire. So if we have low self-esteem, low self-worth, yeah, definitely it's a blockage there. It's a blockage there that we need to work on. So personally, since you asked me on a personal level, I don't do therapy because I'm not a therapist,
Right.
right? But I'm
Hmm.
a certified coach and certified
Yes.
coach. So through the dialectic methods, through raising the awareness with questions that go deep
Yes.
in deep levels, in deep layers in the awareness, in the consciousness of each person or each client of mine, then we
Yes.
try to trigger, we try to get these out, unroot these blockages, so that they
Yeah.
see them in front of their face, like being in a mirror, and say, "Look, I'm in front of a mirror, and I see. Yes, I feel I'm not worthy. I feel like I'm not able. I feel I'm not pretty. I feel I'm not strong. I feel
Right.
I cannot communicate properly. I feel that I'm embarrassed to go up on stage, for example, to give a presentation or whatever. I have other phobias or fears, So all these can contribute massively, to the internal strength, internal power to say no.
Right.
So then we need to tackle one by one all these in order to enhance these abilities and turn the coin
Mhm.
Let's say, turn the coin upside down and be able to really strengthen and empower the people and the coaches, the clients, basically, to really be able, to communicate as they should.
There's a lot of times when you have a hard time saying no, I would think that all that inner emotions, not being able to say no when you keep saying yes, but inside you want to say no, that would cause mood changes in a person, maybe anger issues, maybe outbursts or depression. Can some of those conditions occur from just a simple behavior of not being able to say no?
Of course, because when we cannot express ourselves properly, then we are holding something inside and we're holding a negative energy inside, which create these blockages. And
Yes.
more negative energy, because as you know, as I told you, I do also the spiritual aspect of
Yes.
it, right? So whenever we're holding this negative energy inside us, immediately this turns out to anger, or it turns out to depression, or
Yes.
turns out to aggressive behavior,
Yes.
even aggressive behavior, or to even sadness, huge emotional sadness. Let's
Right.
say that they really hold us back and close us more, and then it gets worse and worse.
Right.
So that's, of course this is normal, because we are beings that we need to communicate. We need to communicate with other people. We need to be a part of the society. We need to be part of the family. We need to be valuable at the same time, because if we
Yes.
don't feel valuable, then we feel depressed, or we feel angry, or we feel very sad,
Yeah.
or we feel not worthy about the self-worth, what you mentioned before. So yeah, definitely by swallowing all these emotions does not help us at all.
Right.
We need to go out and shout and shout loud. That's out loud. Yeah, really, honest. Sometimes it's such a relief, to go out, even to cry, either to cry or to shout loud, up. It doesn't matter. We can be somewhere alone, up in a mountain or outside in a
Yeah.
garden or in a park, whatever, or by the beach,
Right.
and we can cry or we can shout out loud, and can be a big relief, for our nervous system, for our hidden emotions.
I agree. I agree totally. You know, that you need an outlet. You need to get those emotions out. I think because if you hold them inside, the situation is just going to worsen. Your condition is going to worsen. And,
Yep.
people don't even realize, but when you have all these negative emotions and energies in you, it actually beats down your immune system and it actually can open you up to illness. 70% of illnesses are caused by stress. And,
Hmm.
people don't realize that, but it's so important to try to give yourself stress is always going to be around us no matter what, but it's so important to try to be able to cope with stress where you could actually live a healthy and happy, productive life. When someone is going through these things and they're not able to say no and they're going through all these emotions, what are some of the things that you suggest people do to handle the stress? Now, we went over some techniques on how to be able to say no. And, since stress is related, what are some things that people can do also to try to work on their stress levels at the same time while they're trying to focus on gaining enough of strength internally to say no?
Yes. The number one is about the self-care. Number one is self-care, 100%. If we don't take care of ourselves or properly,
Yeah,
either physically or mentally or emotionally or spiritually. So
right,
if we don't really take care of ourselves properly, we'll never be able, to have this power, to build this internal power to say no.
right.
Or we'll never have this resilience that we need in order to cope with these challenging situations in the office, at home, wherever we are, or outside in society. So we really need to take care of ourselves. And we should not feel that taking care of ourselves is selfish,
Yes.
because it's not selfish.
No.
And I will prove this to you very easily. I'm also a dad, right? As you know, I have two kids, right? So
Yeah.
I do this first, all experiments first in myself. I'm the guinea pig, right? So when I started a few years ago, I started doing my kung fu exercise practice, because I'm a kung fu martial artist, right, for the last
Mhm.
8 years. when I started doing this and I started doing diligently, twice a week with my master, an amazing master that I have in Kung Fu, and I started doing it properly, my
Yes.
energy levels skyrocketed. So yes, my family would respect the time that I had for my training, because I would disappear for 1 hour and a half twice a week.
Yeah.
I would disappear to do my training. But then when I was coming back and during the week, I had so much energy that I could spend much better and more efficient
Mm-hmm.
with my kids, with my wife, with my friends, with our relatives, because I was giving back so much energy.
Yes.
If I was not doing this selfish, in brackets, practice
Yeah.
twice a week, I would not have this energy. And then I would
Right.
be come back from home, and I would be sitting on the couch watching TV or going
Right.
through my social media accounts or whatever. So we need to take care of ourselves, whatever that means for everyone. Someone may be going to a spa, or someone may be taking care of your hair, of her hair, of
Yeah.
his hair, whatever. So for someone may mean going out for a romantic dinner. For someone else may mean going for a walk on the beach. It doesn't matter. This can be 100 different things for taking care of ourselves, but we
Right.
need to do it. We need to
Yes.
do it. And we need to spend this time alone so that we can recharge our batteries, and then we can give back also to
Yes.
others that they need it. So this has to be really clear, 100% clear to everyone, that taking care of ourselves is not selfish.
Right.
So I think this is one strategy, the first thing that we should start
Yes.
taking care of. The second thing is how to communicate.
Yes.
And this is the big challenge as well, how to communicate. Right? Because as we said, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of getting pushback, fear of rejection, all these kind of small fears here and there, or big fears,
Yes.
for small or big. So then we need to work on the communication.
Right. Communication is definitely key. It's very important and you need it. Everybody needs it in their life. And a lot of people have a hard time communicating, but that's something that people need to work on. And they could even work on it, spiritually. They could work on it through journals, I think.
Mhm.
How do you feel about meditation too? Do you like
Oh,
meditation?
I'm an ambassador of meditation because of my practice, my Kung Fu practice. I'm also a Qigong practitioner. Maybe you know Qigong is the internal energy
Yes.
and a practice of Kung Fu, and it's basically the standing meditation with a combination of breathing and a combination of slow moves, like the Tai Chi, more or less. So
Yes.
it's all these three aspects: standing meditation, slow movement, and breathing. Right? So 100% meditation, mindfulness, 100% mindfulness, being mindful during our day, or even when at work or at home. I know it's very hard to do for 24 hours. It's impossible to be mindful 24 hours. I know, because we are in autopilot and we're having crazy lives, of course. But still, being aware. The more often we can be aware that we can be mindful, we will be able to manage it. We will be able to manage maybe in the beginning only 1 minute, then we'll go 2 minutes, then 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So slowly every day we can increase our mindful times. And
Yes.
of course, meditation, mindfulness, then it's about being present, which is the mindfulness part, being as present as possible,
Yes.
active listening with people when we're having a call like the two of us now, when we're having an appointment, we have a meeting, when we have an interview, when we have a coaching session. Active listening is very, very powerful.
Yes. And a lot of people have struggled with that because a lot of people listen to themselves, but they don't listen to what the other person is saying. And if you don't listen to what the other person is saying, your communication between that person is not going to be good.
Yes, and this is I can tell you again from experience that if everyone could be trained as a coach, even if not practicing coaching,
Yes.
the skills that you're getting technically and also mentally, the skills that you're getting from these are huge. And
Yes.
active listening is one of the most powerful skills. in our society today, as you said correctly, because if you're not listening to the other one, you cannot be you cannot come into their shoes, so you cannot be empathetic enough.
Right.
We cannot understand their needs, you cannot understand their feelings, you cannot understand their emotions, you cannot understand what they may need from you in order to be happy.
Right.
So all this complexity of feelings and emotions and these thoughts that we're going through every day, it messes up our lives,
Yeah.
basically.
You know, there are a lot of people when you go to work, you can't say no. And there are a lot of times when people want to express their disapproval of something or they don't agree with something that someone else is telling them and they're afraid because they're in the workplace. Do you have
Mm,
any suggestions for people? Because we talk about work-life balance, you know,
yes,
when you have stress at work, you bring it home and vice versa.
sure.
And so when you're at work and your people are telling you, you know, do this, do that, you might not think it's the right decision. You want to voice your opinion, but you're afraid
Mhm.
to. You're afraid to say no, you know, with the fear, maybe the fear of being fired, or maybe the fear of getting in trouble or getting written up, or whatever the case may be. Do you have suggestions for people, you know, when it comes to the workplace?
Yes, definitely. And also, this is the big issue in the working environment is, of course, conflict, right? And how to manage conflict.
Yeah,
From what you said, right? Because it's one thing is getting maybe the fear of getting fired, or the fear of maybe not being involved in some of the important projects, for example, for in a working environment, or but
right.
also is how to manage the conflict, how to be able to manage the conflict situation. So all this is part of the communications and how you can really be build the assertiveness and
Yes.
build the firmness that you need when you communicate. So, for
Right.
example, one technique is when you use the I statement. Right? So, the I statement is what when I'm feeling something, I will say to you, for example, you know what, Stacy? Right now, I don't feel very comfortable with this discussion of ours.
Yes.
Can we reschedule our discussion in 1 hour from now or in 2 hours from now?
Right.
This is immediately a small boundary because it's a time boundary, and you communicate your emotion
Right.
firmly and assertively and right out. So what would be your answer in this case? What can you say?
If we
If you
wanted
were
to,
yeah, I'm telling you, Stacy, right now, I don't feel comfortable about this discussion of ours. Can we please reschedule our appointment in 1 hour from now?
I think I would respect that you were honest with me, and I would try to accommodate you the best I could.
Exactly. So it's very simple,
Mhm.
very difficult to sometimes to externalize this, but
Yes.
very simple because you're not offending anyone,
Right.
right? You're not accusing anyone. You're
Yes.
not blaming anyone. You just state what you feel
Mhm.
and what you like to do. So immediately you've set up a time boundary that is not the right time, and
Right.
you have communicated your deep emotion that for some reason, without saying what or who or accusing,
Right.
you don't feel you don't feel it's the right time, to
Yes.
discuss because you don't feel comfortable. That's
Right.
it. And there are so many other examples, in our daily routines and daily environments that we can use these small statements,
Yes.
I statements, beginning with I, expressing on what we believe, on what we think, without blaming. Because if I would do the opposite and I would say to you, Stacy, you know what? You are breaking my nerves right now. I cannot look at you at all. Let's reschedule. Right? Let's reschedule our appointment in 1 hour from now. How would you feel? And what would
Uh,
your reaction be?
I would feel a little insulted. I'd probably be a little angered by your comment, and I probably wouldn't be as compliant and as nice. I'd probably be a little bit on a snappy side, or or very annoyed. So it wouldn't be a positive interaction, you know.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So you see, with one sentence with 10 words, 10, 12 words, let's say 15 words,
Yeah,
problem solved, problem solved.
right. Exactly. It's so easy too to rephrase, a couple of sentences or a sentence. And, so many times people don't think and they just say things and it comes out the wrong way and it can
Mhm.
mess up the whole conversation. It could even cause friction between the two people, interacting with one another. If people only took the time to step back for one moment, think
Mhm.
about what they're about to say, and then try to rephrase it in a way that they know is going to work well between the two people. And, you could look at another human and you can understand what type of personality. You might not know them very well, but you have an understanding of what type of personality they are. So talk to them with, in a way that is going to be positive. And I always say talk to someone with respect and kindness. The two simple words, if we could just be respectful and kind, it would go a long way in any situation.
100%, of course, we need to be respectful and we need to be kind. But first, we need to be respectful to ourselves and kind to
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes.
So then we can be respectful and kind to others. Because
Yes.
if we are right,
Yes.
because if we are not respectful to our friends, ourselves, and not kind to ourselves,
Right.
then we cannot. Unfortunately, then we cannot be respectful and kind to the others either.
Yes.
And another technique that you, because you asked me before on the on a working environment, let's say, which is the same for a family environment, it's the same between, let's say, husband and wife. It's like a problem solving approach. So we understand the problem, we acknowledge that there is an issue, we acknowledge that there is a challenge,
Yes.
but we understand that there is a distance between the opinions of the two people, maybe of the two parties. It's like a negotiation. In a
Right.
negotiation, but we are trying. We show to the other party, to the other person, that we are trying to find solution.
Right.
That we're trying to have a solution-based conversation
Yes.
and not a problem-based conversation. We want to have a common solution that is a win-win for both, and we need to meet. We need to try to meet somewhere in between
Yes.
so that needs of both persons are met, are being met, and both parties, both people can be happy, and can be, let's say, looking forward to the outcome, the result of this negotiation, cooperation, discussion, whatever it is. So we need to have this in mind.
Yes.
Being respectful, as you said, being kind, using I statement, be able to approach any issue with a solving, let's say, mentality on how to solve the issue
Yes.
instead of creating more problems
Right.
or more conflict.
Yes.
Okay. And of course, we need to be assertive and firm in our communication. Be sure, confident, relaxed,
Yes.
with a steady and neutral tone
Yes.
when we are communicating something to the other people.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. That's so important. I think how we hold ourselves and how we communicate with others. And you made such a good point too that I really liked is that we really can't show respect and kindness until we respect ourselves and we're kind to ourselves. Because if you ever seen when you see people sometimes they're very snippy or angry and or they're just mean to others for no apparent reason, it's because they don't respect themselves. It's because they're not kind to themselves because they don't feel good about themselves or something happened and they're angry about it, whatever the case may be. But, in order, like you said, in order to show kindness and respect, we really have to work on being kind and respectful to ourselves. And once we've accomplished that, you can see a total turnaround on how you treat others and how you communicate with others. I think that's a huge impact. What do you think?
Yeah, yes, it is because going back to the self care is also self-compassion,
Yes.
right? So when we are aware and we know and we work with ourselves on self-compassion,
Yes.
that means that we were already working on the self-care with ourselves. And then
Right.
that means that we have the self-compassion, we have the understanding that we need to accept ourselves as the way we are.
Yes.
We need to accept ourselves without judgment. We
Right.
need to accept ourselves with our goods and the bads, with our strengths and with our weaknesses.
Yes.
And we need to be able to manage all this internally first, because if we understand this for ourselves, we understand this for the others. If I
Yes.
understand that I have weaknesses, immediately I understand that other people also have weaknesses.
Right.
If I say to myself that I only have strengths and I am the best and I'm the most powerful and I am the most beautiful and all this, I will only see the opposite and the negative toward the other people.
Right.
Instead of appreciating them for what they have to offer and for
Exactly.
what they have to contribute, to their surroundings, to the people, to the family, to the society. So self-compassion, yes, is very strong. Is very strong element there, for all of us to be able to really take care of this as well, so that we can really be more grounded, more down to earth, be more, accepting and accepting also, because we have also inclusion issues in our society now. So we inclusivity issues. So we need to be mindful in all these
Yeah, for
different
sure.
aspects of life.
100%. 100%. Now, you were saying to me earlier that you actually have a workshop that's going to be soon, and you're teaching at the workshop how to say no. And I think
Mhm.
that's amazing. Can you tell me a little about that?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I'm running a workshop, The Power of Saying No, and how to communicate our boundaries assertively. That's on the 30th of March and 31st of March. It's 2 hours each day. It's actually Saturday and Sunday, right? And I'm doing this workshop because I ran a similar workshop almost a year ago, and I see an amazing success, an amazing interest. I mean, from people, and I think they got a lot of value out of it. So I'm repeating this now. It's fully online in English. And, I'm looking forward to provide some value, to all our listeners and to our audience here, because I think this topic is very, very is powerful and very challenging for a lot of people to discuss.
Yes, 100%. And if you had to emphasize a couple of takeaways from everything that we discussed today, what are some
Mhm.
things you really like the listeners to understand?
I think the takeaway is yes, is the self care, number one,
Hmm.
self compassion, number two, assertive communication, number three, I would say. And
Yeah,
these three will lead us to really be able to take control of our life.
right,
Because the final, let's say, objective and the end result of all these is that we can take control of our life
right,
and not letting the control to other people,
right.
not letting the control to our husbands or wives, not letting the control to our bosses or colleagues or peers, not
Yes,
letting the control, to other, let's say, relatives or society members in whatever we do. Because taking control of our life is very important, because this is the only way to get really aligned with our true self and our authentic self, and really build for ourselves who we want to be,
right.
and what we want to achieve in
Yes,
the long run.
right. And what kind
Because
of go ahead.
please go ahead.
No, no, finish, finish.
No, I just crossed my mind that, that I think the saddest thing, at least on a personal level, the saddest thing for me and the most disappointing thing would be to reach 80 or 90 or 100 years old and look back and say, oops, I lost my life passed, and I never had control. I
Yeah,
was never, I was never, in a position to decide for myself. I
right.
was never in a position, to do things that I would like to do. I was never in a position to teach my kids or my family whatever things that they needed to learn, for example, you see. So this is a very deep, this is, I think, for at least for me, this is a very deep emotional worry
Yeah,
that I don't reach at this stage, and looking
yes.
back and being disappointed. So I work practically.
I think it's really important because you don't want to look back and regret. You want to be able to look back and be satisfied and happy with the life you led. So it's
and
really
full and
important.
fulfilled and
Yeah,
fulfilled. Exactly.
exactly. So I think it's good to be able to look back and to be able to say, I am happy with the life I led, and if you have certain things that, you're not too happy with, it's never too late to tweak them,
It's
and
never too late. It's never too late. 100%, it's never too late.
Now, on your website, you offer a bunch of different services. Can you tell us a little about the services that you offer as a holistic coach?
Yeah, so I offer a one-to-one coaching. I offer also group coaching on specific subjects, which I create together with my clients. And I offer a different kind of workshops, and I will be offering even more workshops from now on. And I would be happy to also to offer, a 30-minute free consultation call to all our listeners. We have a wonderful conversation today, and I would like to offer this to our listeners to have this chance, to get in touch with me, get a call. I would be happy to advise them back if I can, at least create this trigger in their awareness, how they can do things differently, to really be happy and fulfilled in what they're doing.
That's great. Where can we get in touch with you? What's your website address?
So my website is my name, my full name, which is tassoskotzias.com. That would spell TASSOSKOTZIAS.com. They can find me also in social media and Facebook, Instagram, either as a holistic coach Tassos or as my full name, Tassos Kotzias again. And we'll be happy, to get in touch and have fruitful and deep conversations.
This has been wonderful. Thank you, Tassos. I love having you on the show today. And everything that you
Thank
taught us
you.
today was so valuable. This is something that I hear so many people talk about all the time. And it's the fear of saying no, not being able to say no and always saying yes, but then they feel the emotional stress and the negativity that goes along with not going and listening to what their inner self wants them to do. Their mind is saying no, their heart is saying no, their spirit is saying no, but then verbally they're saying yes. And it's hurting them, in many ways.
Mm.
And I think you touched a lot of great points today, and you gave a lot of great advice on how to start to overcome that. And I think your workshop sounds wonderful. I think many people are going to benefit from it. And I really highly suggest that our listeners look into that. If you're suffering from not being able to say no, or maybe not feeling worthy of yourself, or struggling with low self-esteem, or you learn, different ways to improve your life, maybe check out Tassos's workshop and see if it's for you. And that will be on your website also, correct?
Yes, it is already in my website. Also, we have a special page inside the website, so people can find it, can see all the sessions, the different sessions, the takeaways from the workshop. Of course, full information. So everything is there.
Oh, great. This is awesome. Thank you so much, Tassos, for being on the show. I really enjoyed this, and I hope to have you back one day soon. And I look forward to maybe talking to you in the future.
Thank you, Stacey. Likewise, thank you. It was a great evening for me, morning, morning, afternoon for you, right? So because we're in different time zones as well. But
Yes,
I really enjoyed it, and looking forward to the future as well. Appreciate it.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank you.
day.
Thank you.